Gandhi began the habit of sharing his bed with naked young women. Was India's greatest leader also a racist? A blind admiration is definitely not my way of research. On 2nd October 1869, Putlibai gave birth to her last child, Mohandas, in a dark, windowless ground floor room of Gandhi family residence in Porbandar city. As a child, Gandhi was described by his sister Raliat as restless Mercury, either playing or roaming around. One of his favorite pastimes was twisting dogs' ears. Full name Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who later became a lawyer, anti-colonial nationalist, and a political ethicist who employed non-violent resistance to lead the successful campaign for India's independence, and later movements for civil rights and freedom across the world. 2nd October is commemorated in India as Gandhi Jayanti, a national holiday, and worldwide as the International Day of Non-Violence. Though not formally considered as the father of the nation, was commonly called Bapu. In May 1883, the 13-year-old Mohandas was married to 14-year-old Kasturba Makanji Kapadia in an arranged marriage according to the custom of that time. Recalling the day of their marriage, he once said, "As we didn't know much about marriage, for us it meant only wearing new clothes, eating sweets, and playing with relatives." As was prevailing tradition, the adolescent bride was to spend much time at her parents' house and away from her husband. In late 1885, Gandhi's father, Karamchand, died. Gandhi, then 16 years old, and his wife of age 17 had their first baby, who survived only a few days. The two deaths anguished Gandhi. The Gandhi couple had 4 more children, all sons. Harilal, born in 1888, Manilal, born in 1892, Ramdas, born in 1897, Devdas, born in 1900. In 1888, he left India for pursuing his studies. He chose UCL, University College London. He studied his law and jurisprudence and was invited to enroll in a temple with the intention of becoming a barrister, and then left London for India, where he learned that his mother had died while he was in London and that his family had kept the news from him. His attempts at establishing a law practice in Bombay failed because he was psychologically unable to cross-examine witnesses. In 1893, a merchant in Kathiawar named Dada Abdullah contacted Gandhi. Abdullah owned a large successful shipping business in South Africa. His distant cousin in Johannesburg needed a lawyer, and they preferred someone with Kathiawari heritage, and this was the opportunity for Gandhi. He left for South Africa. He initially was not interested in politics. This changed, however, after he was discriminated against and bullied, such as by being thrown out of the train coach because of his skin color by a white train official. It was here he started non-violent resistance in a campaign for civil rights. However, in 1915, aged 45, he returned to India and soon set about organizing peasants, farmers, and urban laborers to protest against excessive land tax and discrimination. The rest was history, as every Indian knows. In an effort to end India's religious strife, he resorted to fast and visits to the troubled areas. He was on one such vigil in New Delhi when Nathuram Godse, a Hindu extremist who objected to Gandhi's tolerance for the Muslims, and fatally shot him. This is what we all know about Gandhi. But is that it? No. I'm about to tell some of the better side of Gandhi, which is not well known, and I believe we need to learn something from it. A blind admiration is definitely not my way of research. Was India's greatest leader also a racist? This is a question that's been asked by the West for so long. Yes, The authors of a controversial new book on Gandhi's life and work in South Africa certainly believe so. South African academics Ashwin Desai and Ghulam Wahid spent 7 years exploring the complex story of a man who lived in their country for more than 2 decades. In 1893, Gandhi wrote to the Natal Parliament saying that a general belief seems to prevail in the colony that the Indians are little better, if at all, than savages or the natives of Africa. In 1904, he wrote to the health officer in Johannesburg that the council must withdraw Kafirs from an unsanitary slum called the Coolie location where a large number of Africans lived alongside Indians. Along the mixing of Kafirs with Indians, I must confess I feel most strongly. By the way, Kafir is an insulting term for black Africans. The same year, he wrote that unlike the African, the Indian had no war dances, nor does he drink Kafir beer. When Durban was hit by a plague in 1905, Gandhi wrote that the problem would persist as long as Indians and Africans were being herded together indiscriminately at the hospital. This in itself, say historians, is not entirely new and revelatory. Also, some South Africans have always accused the man who led India to independence, working with the British colonial government to promote racial segregation. In April, a man was arrested in connection with vandalizing a statue of Gandhi. A hashtag Gandhi must fall has gained circulation in social media. Gandhi's biographer and grandfather Rajmohan Gandhi says the younger Gandhi, he arrived in South Africa as a 24-year-old briefless lawyer, was undoubtedly at times ignorant and prejudiced about South Africa's black. He believes Gandhi's struggle for Indian rights in South Africa paved the way to the struggle of black rights. He argues that Gandhi too was an imperfect human being, but the imperfect Gandhi was more radical and progressive than most of the contemporary compatriots. Ramachandra Guha, the writer of Majestical Gandhi Before India, writes that to speak of comprehensive equality for colored people was premature in early 20th century in South Africa. If Gandhi was part of the racist common sense of the time, then how does this qualify him to be a person that is seen part of the pantheon of South African liberation heroes? You cannot have Gandhi as an accomplice of colonial subjugation in South Africa and then also defend his liberation credentials in South Africa. Desai also rejects the assertion that Gandhi paved the way for the local struggle for black rights. In one sentence, he says, "You're writing out the history of African resistance to colonialism that unfolded much before Gandhi arrived." And second controversial topic about Gandhi is his celibacy test. For several decades after his death, this episode was not widely known. Popular accounts of Gandhi's life, included Richard Attenborough's biopic, never mentioned it. The facts are that after his wife died in 1944, Gandhi began the habit of sharing his bed with naked young women. His personal doctor, Sushila Nair, and his grandnieces, Abha and Manu, who were then in their late teens and about 60 years younger than him. Gandhi hadn't had sexual relationship with women for 40 years. His conscious purpose in inviting a naked woman to share his bed was, paradoxically, to avoid having sex with them. They were their temptation. If he wasn't aroused their presence, he could be reassured he would achieve brahmacharya, Hindu concept of celibate self-control. According to Gandhi, a person who had such control was one who never has any lustful intention, who by constant attendance upon God has become a proof against consciousness or unconsciousness emission. who is capable of lying naked with naked women, however beautiful they may be, without being in many manners sexually excited. Gandhi wrote, such a person would be incapable of lying or harming anyone. In today's world, do you believe it makes any sense? It's a question for you. In his ashram, the psychoanalyst Satyagraha has written, the competition among women for Gandhi's attention was fierce, as it is in any guru's establishment today. His behavior in the winter of 1946 to 47 shocked many of his followers. At least two of his helpers, his stenographer and his Bengali translator, quit his service in protest when they discovered that he was sleeping with 19-year-old Manu. The Indian press stayed silent unusually. Gandhi kept his experiments with Manu, reasonably private behavior that he later regretted because it violated the principle that the seeker after truth must keep nothing hidden. In the words of another historian, Vinay Lal, it is almost plausible to speak of Gandhi's vulva envy. He liked to play with sexual boundaries. His contribution towards India is definitely unmatchable. But as a person, he had his flaws. He was a human after all. What do you think about him? What do you think about the controversies that I have just told you? Let me know in the comment section. We'll see you with another interesting topic. Thank you.